Have you ever noticed how much energy we waste trying to control other people? Their choices, their opinions, their reactions. We bend ourselves into shapes we don't even recognize, just to please or convince someone who truthfully was never going to change. And afterward, we're left drained, frustrated, and strangely hollow. Here's the thing. What if the key to peace wasn't found in changing anyone else, but in letting them be? What if the two most powerful words you could ever carry with you were simply, let them? That's the radical, yet beautifully simple idea at the heart of Mel Robbins' book, The Let Them Theory. Mel is no stranger to life-changing insights. She's a world-renowned speaker and best-selling author, and in this book, co-written with her daughter Sawyer, she distills decades of personal struggle, research in psychology, and real-world stories into a mindset that is both liberating and practical. This is not fiction. It's not about characters and plots, but about the stories we tell ourselves and the grip we allow others to have over our lives. The Let Them Theory is part self-help, part psychology, and part personal memoir. But above all, it's a manual for reclaiming your energy from places where it's been wasted. So let's step into it together. Imagine you're listening not to a lecture, but to a voice guiding you toward a lighter way of living. Calm, grounded, freeing. The book begins with the simplest of observations. Most of our stress doesn't come from what we're doing, it comes from trying to manage what everyone else is doing. We spend hours replaying conversations in our heads, wondering what they meant by that tone of voice. We get caught in loops of comparison, scrolling through the highlight reels of strangers on social media. We pressure ourselves to be the motivator, the fixer, the rescuer of people who may not even want our help. And Mel offers a counter to all of this. Let them. If your friends don't invite you out one night, let them. If your boss seems short-tempered, let them. If someone chooses to live in a way that you don't agree with, but it doesn't truly harm you, let them. It's deceptively simple. At first glance, it might even feel passive, like resignation. But as Mel explains, it's not about giving up, it's about shifting the focus. Instead of pouring your energy into controlling the uncontrollable, you reclaim it for yourself. One of the first areas she explores is stress. Stress often comes disguised as responsibility. You might think, I have to keep everything together, or it will all fall apart. The truth, people will make their own choices whether or not you intervene. The Let Them Theory says, stop gripping so tightly. You cannot prevent every storm, nor should you try. There's an example she shares of a family gathering. Tensions rising, personalities clashing, everyone talking over each other. Normally, you'd feel compelled to smooth things over, to play mediator. But instead, picture yourself taking a step back. Let them argue. Let them vent. Let them be who they are. You don't have to jump in. You don't have to carry their emotions as if they were your own. It's not indifference, it's clarity. When you let people be, you see them more truthfully and you keep your peace intact. Another powerful lens Mel offers is about opinions. Think about how much of your life has been shaped by the fear of what others might think. You hesitate to speak up in a meeting because you're worried it'll sound stupid. You hold back from pursuing a dream because someone once told you it wasn't practical. You wear clothes, keep habits, and even maintain relationships, all to avoid someone else's judgment. The Let Them Theory interrupts this cycle. If they judge you, let them. If they whisper behind your back, let them. If they misunderstand your intentions, let them. Because here's the truth, people are going to form opinions no matter what you do. Their lens is colored by their own insecurities and experiences. You cannot control it, but you can control how much power you give it. Mel doesn't just leave it as an abstract idea. She explains how neuroscience backs this up. Our brains are wired to seek belonging and approval, but we often mistake approval for survival. The Let Them Theory retrains the mind to separate the two. You don't need universal approval to live a fulfilling life. Reactions form another key theme. Picture this, you send a text and someone leaves you on read. Instantly, the mind spins stories. Did I upset them? Did I say something wrong? Do they even care? Hours wasted over a silence that, most likely, had nothing to do with you at all. Here's where the Let Them Theory steps in. If they don't reply, let them. If they lash out at you when they're stressed, let them. You don't have to interpret every reaction as a reflection of your worth. Mel invites readers to imagine themselves as a tree. Others' winds may blow, sometimes gently, sometimes harshly, but the tree stands firm, rooted in its own soil. The winds don't define the tree, they only pass through. One chapter dives into adult friendships, a surprisingly tender subject. Friendships shift as we age. Some people drift. Others disappoint. You may feel left behind or guilty for outgrowing certain bonds. Here, again, the let them theory offers peace. If a friend pulls away, let them. If they don't show up in the way you need, let them. Because forcing a friendship to look like it once did only creates more pain. True connection thrives on freedom, not obligation. By letting others be who they are, flawed, changing, imperfect, you give yourself the space to find relationships that align with who you are becoming. Mel shares stories of her own friendships, some painful, some healing, and how she learned to release the weight of keeping everyone close. It's not abandonment, it's acceptance. Comparison is another trap the book tackles head-on. It's almost impossible to escape in the age of social media. Someone always seems happier, richer, more successful, more beautiful. You scroll and scroll, feeling your own life shrink smaller in comparison. The let them theory becomes a shield here too. If someone is flaunting their lifestyle online, let them. If they seem to have it all figured out, let them. You cannot control the images they post or the story they choose to tell, but you can choose what you give your attention to. Instead of comparison, Mel suggests curiosity. What if, instead of spiraling into envy, you said, "That's interesting. Good for them. Now, what's possible for me?" By letting them live their story, you reclaim the authorship of your own. Then comes the thorny subject of motivation. Many of us waste endless energy trying to push others into action. Parents pushing children, partners pushing each other, friends pushing friends. We think if we just say the right words, they'll finally change. But here's the reality. You cannot light someone else's fire. If they're unmotivated, let them. If they don't share your drive or your urgency, let them. Your role is not to drag them uphill. It's to walk your own path with conviction. Sometimes your example is the only spark they'll ever need. Sometimes it isn't, and that's not your failure to carry. Helping those who struggle is another tricky area. Compassion is human, but it often tilts into control. You see someone self-destructing and you rush in to fix it. But in doing so, you may strip them of their agency. The let them theory reframes this. If someone refuses help, let them. If they choose differently than you would, let them. Offer love, offer presence, but let the journey be theirs. Mel connects this to research on resilience. Growth requires personal ownership. If you swoop in and shield someone from every consequence, they never build the muscles of their own strength. By letting them, you're not abandoning them, you're trusting them with their own life. The first half of the book gradually builds this theme through every angle: stress, opinions, reactions, friendships, comparison, motivation, and help. Together, they form a tapestry of freedom. The common thread is this: when you stop gripping so tightly at what others do, you free your hands to build what you truly want. The words "let them" become more than advice. They become a mantra, a grounding practice. Whenever anxiety spikes, whenever you feel the urge to control, you breathe and say quietly, "Let them." And yet, Mel reminds us, this is not easy. It cuts against instinct. It requires practice. You will stumble. You will forget. And that's okay. Because each time you return to the words, each time you choose to release instead of control, you carve a new path in your mind. Over time, that path becomes home. But the journey isn't finished here. There are deeper layers still about love, about trust, about creating a life that isn't just reactive, but deeply intentional. That's where the story continues. When we begin to practice these small releases, those quiet moments of letting go, the ripple effects reach further than we might imagine. The second half of Mel Robbins' The Let Them Theory explores those deeper waters. It's about love, about trust, about learning to build a life that isn't shaped by the turbulence around you, but by the calm you create within yourself. Mel takes us into the realm of relationships, the most delicate place where control tends to surface. Think about love. We often mistake it for something we must earn, manage, or preserve through constant effort. But true love, she explains, is not built on manipulation or performance. It's built on acceptance. If your partner forgets a small detail, let them. If they process emotions differently than you do, let them. If they have a need that doesn't mirror your own, let them. This isn't about lowering standards or tolerating disrespect. It's about distinguishing between what truly matters and what is simply your attempt to mold another person into your image of them. Love thrives when both people feel free to be themselves, not when one person is constantly bending the other into shape. One of the most powerful stories she shares is about expectations. We enter relationships romantic, familial, even professional, armed with silent contracts. You should support me like this. You should react like that. You should know what I need without me saying it. And when the other person doesn't fulfill those unwritten rules, we feel betrayed. The let them theory dissolves those contracts. If they don't meet your unspoken expectations, let them, and instead speak your truth clearly. Ask for what you need without resentment. Give them the choice to meet you honestly. By letting go of the illusion that people should simply know, you invite authenticity back into the bond. Another theme woven throughout the later chapters is trust. To let others be, you must cultivate trust not necessarily in them, but in yourself. Trust that you can handle disappointment. Trust that you can survive rejection. Trust that you don't need to control the outcome to remain whole. Mel describes trust like a muscle that grows through use. Every time you choose to release control, even in small ways, you strengthen that muscle. The next time life tests you, you'll find yourself steadier, more grounded, less reactive. And then there is the theme of parenting. Perhaps nowhere is the urge to control stronger than in the relationship between parent and child. Every instinct screams to protect, to steer, to mold the path. But the let them theory insists, if your child is exploring independence, let them. If they make mistakes, let them. If they push back against your advice, let them. This doesn't mean abandoning guidance. It means allowing space for growth. Children, like all of us, learn not from perfection, but from experience. By stepping back, you give them the chance to step forward. You allow them the dignity of their own journey. Mel also speaks about the role of boundaries, an often misunderstood companion to letting go. To let them is not to accept harmful behavior. Boundaries are the guardrails that protect your peace. If someone repeatedly disrespects you, the let them theory says, let them be who they are and then choose not to participate in that pattern. Let them behave as they will, but remove yourself from the harm. It's a subtle but profound distinction. You cannot change their actions, but you can change your proximity to them. Letting them does not mean enduring everything. It means releasing the futile attempt to force change, and instead taking ownership of your own choices. As the book moves toward its conclusion, Mel widens the lens. This isn't just about relationships or friendships. It's about life itself. The let them theory is a philosophy of freedom. It invites you to live with less tension and more presence. Think of how often we grip tightly at outcomes. We want the promotion, the recognition, the smooth plan, the perfect day. And when life veers from our script, we resist. But life, like people, is not here to obey our demands. If plans fall apart, let them. If opportunities pass you by, let them. The energy you spend wrestling reality is energy stolen from creating what's next. She likens it to standing in a river. You can either fight the current, exhausting yourself against the flow, or you can release into it, steering gently but allowing the water to carry you forward. Letting them is not surrendering to chaos, it's trusting the current of life to reveal paths you might never have seen by clinging to control. By the final chapters, the message is crystallized into something both practical and spiritual. To let others be is, in truth, to let yourself be. Every time you stop micromanaging, stop replaying, stop demanding, you carve out a little more space for your own growth. Instead of shrinking yourself to keep the peace, you stand in your truth. Instead of burning out trying to fix everyone, you redirect that energy into building the life you want. Instead of tying your happiness to someone else's behavior, you anchor it in your own choices. The let them theory is not just a strategy, it's a liberation. Mel closes with a reminder that these words are deceptively simple, but life-changing when practiced daily. You won't master it overnight. You'll still feel the pull to control. You'll still catch yourself tightening your grip. But with practice, the mantra will find you at just the right moment. If they criticize you, let them. If they misunderstand you, let them. If they leave, let them. If they love you, let them. Each let them is a doorway back to peace. Each one is a reminder that your worth is not up for debate, and your energy is too precious to waste on battles you cannot win. And as you finish the journey through these pages, you realize something. The let them theory is less about others and more about you. It's about building a life that feels lighter, freer, and truer because you've stopped outsourcing your peace. So the next time you feel yourself spiraling, clenching, controlling, pause, breathe, and remember the two words that hold the power to change everything. Let them. Thank you for listening to this summary of the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. If you'd like more immersive book journeys like this one, consider subscribing so you won't miss the next story. I'd also love to hear your thoughts. Which insight from this book resonated with you most deeply? Was it about friendships, boundaries, love, or perhaps the quiet freedom of letting go? Share your reflections, I'll be reading them. And if you found this helpful, perhaps pass it along to someone who might need the gentle reminder today. Sometimes 2 simple words can lift a heavy weight. Until next time, take care of your energy and remember, let them.